Welcome to Mana's Seal YouTube channel. The previous video link is on the description box or on the top right card. Volume 16, The Half-Elf Godkin. That etiquette stuff they had dismissed as meaningless until now suddenly had meaning. It was code used to show respect to the other party, and he had only shown it to the elders. That was the answer they arrived at. If we're thought of as children with the appearance of adults by the uncle, and then we just go ahead and divide up the souvenirs of our own accord, we might be regarded as a village where the children are in control, or worse, a village of savages who don't even know what etiquette is. Even if we couldn't give a greeting that followed proper etiquette, he might not decide that we're children just because of that, but he might. In the event that happened, when he returns to the city, it would be spoken of all around that, in a village of the Dark Elves who live in the forest, there's a group of childish people who like to throw their weight around, you know. I resent that. Yeah, I feel the same way. This village being laughed at by the outside world is a little, no, pretty damn unpleasant. The reason why he didn't greet us in a way that followed the rules of etiquette was probably to appraise our worth. Yeah, I think if we had responded with the proper etiquette, then Feardono's attitude would have been different. There certainly was some feeling that they had been pigeonholed, but it might not have been done out of malice. Rather than that, what benefit would there be for the other party to be malicious and still make contact with them? Of course, it wasn't as if there was no possibility that he just had a rotten personality. I can't really agree with it for one reason or another, but we have no choice but to leave it to the elders, who follow the rules of etiquette, after all. Since he seemed to have greeted the elders in a way that conformed to proper etiquette, the elders must have also been courteous to him. In the present condition, the uncle could be considered to have paid respect to the elders, but not to them. If the elders were to divide up the souvenirs, then the uncle wouldn't think of it as strange. Yeah, that's right. If we don't do anything, then the elders will just divide everything up of their own accord. And then, the only other ones we can ask to do it are the chief pharmacist and the right master, who weren't there. But what do you guys think? Those two, especially the chief pharmacist, will absolutely hate it. The chief pharmacist was the type who would find doing this kind of thing bothersome, and if they were turned down by the right master, it would end up being left to the elders. Alright. We've come to a conclusion. For the time being, we've finished the task we were asked to do. Let's get out of here. Yeah, let's do that. And then, should we learn the bare minimum of the rules of etiquette from the elders? The youngsters all looked reluctant to do so. It was because until now they had concluded that etiquette was pointless. They didn't want to be treated like children ever again. That was why lowering their heads to the elders at his point was unpleasant. The youngsters, who had mixed feelings, breathed heavy sighs from the bottom of their hearts. Also, there was talk of holding the welcome party after Feardono and the younger brother had come. What do we do? Surely there must also be a way to hold a party that conforms to etiquette. Failing to be polite would be an embarrassment, wouldn't it? We'll probably be alright with the party, but the village being judged as just a collection of children who don't know what manners are is troublesome. Let's leave the arrangements for the party to the elders. That's fine. If it's the elders, though it annoys me to admit this, they'll probably get that part done right. While the elders and youngsters were each at their wits' end about what would happen hereafter, there was yet another group who were also at their wits' end. It was the 6 children. They had gathered around in a circle, and among them, the one who was most at his wits' end was the first child to receive candy from Ainz. In other words, the child who had been asked to play with Aura directly. It was a truth that the children had a strong curiosity about the girl who came from that unknown, distant place called the city. Even now they were interested in, wanted to make friends with, and wanted to play with her. In spite of that, there was a reason why they just looked at her from a distance and never approached her. It was because they were living in different worlds. Even if the girl who had abilities that surpassed those of the number 1 hunter in the village was close to them in terms of age, the difference in their standing was on the order of that between heaven and earth. They couldn't just approach and start a conversation with that kind of person. Even if you saw a super famous person that you yourself respected, it was normal to hesitate to even talk to them. However, from this moment on, they had to do that. What are we gonna do? What kind of games should we play with them? What even is playing if a contest of athletic ability isn't on the table? So basically, it would mean things other than tree climbing, which uses your body, or something. There's no playing like that. You could say that the reason the Dark Elf children were optimistic about inviting Aura to play with them was because of the candy they had received just a bit ago, but you could also say it was because they wanted to try playing with her even more than that too. In a sense, you could say that Ainz's proposition had been a godsend for them. How about what's in the leaves? What's in the leaves was what the other races would call hide and seek. I don't know about the boy who came today, but that girl is a super amazing ranger, you know. she'd find us all instantly. We couldn't do the same for her. Who cares if we get found? That's not what playing's all about, is it? You moron. Getting her to play with us is different from playing together with us. The other children who heard that whistled in admiration. You're so cool, Ku-chan. That's our Ku-chan. Whoa. Don't say something so obvious. Ku-chan orange kunis. Well, the child who had received the candy from Ainz had a conceited smile on his face. He calmed everyone down and got them back under control. Well, putting aside the fact that I am pretty cool, did you guys think of something to play that's not a contest of athletic ability? Treacly is a contest, isn't it? Among the children who were humming deep in thought, one of the older girls asked. Well, if that's how it is, can't we just have them teach us the games they play in the city? Ha. After Kunis had let out an exaggerated sigh, he answered her point blank. You moron. What do you mean, moron? What, you mad? If you remember what he said, calling you a moron would be appropriate. He said to let them play something that can be played in the city. Something that can only be played in this village, didn't he? Don't tell me you forgot already. Did he say that? Yes, he did. So something we can play that couldn't be played in the city would be what, exactly? I mean, just what the heck kind of games do they even play in the city? Should we start off by asking them about that? Something unique to the village, going into the forest, then knock it off. Upon hearing one person's suggestion, Kunis had a stern expression on his face. It's not as if you guys don't know what happened to Archon, right? Everyone fell silent. Among them, the child who had made the proposal had gone pale. It was relatively safe inside the village, but the areas around it were different. If the children went into the forest to play by themselves, danger would descend upon them. Certainly, they might be okay if it were just once or twice. However, that luck wouldn't hold out forever. Children who never come back existed, and the adults didn't do anything about it. They did not even do the simplest of things like keeping an eye on the gatherings of children, or tying a long string onto the children. Even if there were those who never came back, it was regarded as a necessary sacrifice for violating the directions of the adults and exposing themselves to danger as a result. If they could teach the other children about the dangerousness of the forest through the death of one child, it wouldn't be thought of as a substantial loss. On the contrary, the idea of them growing up without knowing the dangers of the forest was more frightening. In fact, there wasn't a single adult in this village who didn't have a friend in their childhood who became a victim of the forest. For this reason, they were plenty afraid of the forest. Being vigilant, they were able to live out their lives in this village. This was what it meant to live in this forest. I know you're thinking that girl is a ranger with remarkable skills, so it's safer to go into the forest with her than with the adults. But it's too dangerous for us. Take Iris and Kunis pointed at the smallest boy. Me, our physical strength, and other stuff is totally different, right? At the very least, you have to be able to climb a tree immediately. So what do we do then? That was where they had ultimately ended up. So I guess we have to ask those two about what they do to have fun in the city. I mean, what kind of place is a city? Are there more trees than there are here, you think? Is it so full of wild game that the girl could become an amazing ranger? After the children exchanged glances, they naturally stared at Kunis. With a look of triumph on his face, Kunis answered. I heard the whole story from the adults that went hunting with her. That's our Ku-chan. You're amazing. You really are amazing, Ku-chan. Ha ha ha. It seems like a city is a place where it's not just elves or dark elves, but also a lot of guys from various other races are there. It sounds like there aren't any trees at all. Instead, they say that a lot of houses are made of bricks, mortar, or some other kind of dirt there. From dirt. So it's something like the Garakas do. The name of one of the races that live in this forest came up. The Grissi were also omnivorous, but since they didn't go so far as to eat intelligent life, even if they ran into a dark elf in the forest, they would both keep their distance and silently pass by each other. It seemed like their dwellings were shaped like boxes of hardened dirt. The children imagined a meadow with a lot of those boxes. They tilted their heads in puzzlement because they simply couldn't understand it. Whoa. They came from a place that's kinda amazing. I kinda feel like I want to hear more about the city. Look. Even if we asked them about it, it could turn out to be something they've played even in the city. Then the number of games we prepared would just go down, wouldn't they? In other words, we'll have to prepare several games to play, wouldn't we? Arg. Once again, the children pondered. It really was difficult. Hold on, what about playing house? The smallest girl murmured. The three oldest boys looked a little reluctant. As you would expect, they probably wanted to say that they had already outgrown that kind of game. However, Oli Kunis looked like he thought it might not be that bad of an idea. Certainly, if it was playing house, it wouldn't be a contest of athletic ability, or anything, would it? No, anything but that. But it's not something that can only be played in the forest, is it? It's something you can do anywhere. All we have to do is play a version of house that's unique to the village. A version of house that was unique to the village. What kind of house would it be? Excluding Kunis, the speaker, nobody gave an indication that they knew. Also, that boy who came later. He doesn't look like he's very good at physical activities, so playing house might not be a bad idea. At that age they probably still play house, right? I do not. One of the boys, who was around the same age as Or, said. The children around him countered with, "Wah. You were playing house by yourself." That wasn't playing house. I was playing Dark Elf Heroes. The children's conversation shifted to a discussion of what the difference between playing house and playing Dark Elf Heroes was.